Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Quarters studio with Eddie.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, and welcome, Eddie, to the studio.
Yeah, It's great to be here.
Good to have you. So, today, Eddie and I are going to be talking about how to find the perfect cards for your decks. Now, obviously, I couldn't just talk about this on my own because, I don't build decks at all, right, Eddie?
Not at all, yeah.
Need your help for this one.
Yeah, we should bring in the experts.
Exactly. Yeah, so this is Eddie's idea for the episode. Eddie definitely brought this one up. So, Eddie, why don't you kind of introduce it?
Yeah, so I think as a Commander player, besides playing the game, one of my favorite parts is just building the decks.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I'm building a deck, I like to have it be functional, have it do all its stuff, but I also like finding those diamonds in the rough, those unique cards that you might not see in every deck helmed by your commander. And there's a lot of good ways to do it, several that are maybe a little lesser known, so I hope to share our secrets.
Well, I mean, what you're supposed to just do, from what I've heard, right, is you go to EDHREC, you just hit average deck, and then you're done.
Yeah, you'd need to put in the affiliate link, and then, that's
how
it.
it works. All right, episode over. That's how you find the perfect cards for your deck. That's all you need to do, right?
Yep. All right. No, there's a little bit more to it than that. There's definitely some nuance, some easier stuff, some more in the weeds stuff, so we'll kind of cover it all from beginning to end.
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to interrupt you really quick, Eddie, because you're not going to brag too much, I don't believe, on this episode, but you might.
I might.
But basically, I was using Scryfall at a very, beginner level before, and I thought I was an expert. But then Eddie was like, well, wait, no, you want to search for this? What are you doing? Like, no, this is the way you do it. So pay attention, because Eddie he won't say it himself, but he is the Scryfall expert. So if you have any comments or need any help on anything with Scryfall, just reach out to Eddie. I'll give you his cell phone number in the description below.
Barring the cell phone number, I also did make a YouTube account so I can comment on these videos. So I'll check the comments. I'll give you any tips that you might need to know. So be sure to comment below, and I'll try to be responsive.
Absolutely. I believe you've got the Commander's Quarters logo with an E on it.
Yeah.
Very clever. I think I came up with that. That's Eddie. Okay.
Exactly.
You can tell the difference between the two of us. Okay. So I kind of already, I guess, spoiled part of it, but Scryfall is going to be part of it. But why don't you just keep going with your intro? I'm sorry to interrupt.
It's all good. Scryfall, for those of you that don't know, is a search engine for Magic the Gathering. It has all the cards ever in existence. It has a bunch of different ways that you can search. And it's also actually independent of Wizards of the Coast, so they're kind of an independent site.
Yep.
They do have a place that you can donate, so to help keep them going, they're an awesome resource if you have the capability to
Absolutely.
do so. I would recommend it.
If you do donate, then I believe you also get access to kind of like the deck builder that they have in there as well, which can be very helpful.
Yeah, and actually you can use the deck builder for free, but if you have any feature requests,
well,
stuff
I still donated, and you should too. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, Scryfall, great site. We'll link some of these places down below in the description. So that's one way that you can find some hidden gems, is just creative searches. We'll go over some examples in a little bit. But to kind of get you hooked, I want to show you some maybe spicier pieces that we found for our decks that we wouldn't have found if we just used the normal YouTube, EDHREC, things like that, stuff that might not show up but have excellent synergy if you just search the right way. So Mitch, you had one example.
Yeah, one that really came to mind. Eddie actually just sprung this, part of the episode on me right before he got here. He's like, Mitch, we need examples, and now think about, what example really kind of sticks out to you. And I racked my brain. Actually, the one that really stood out to me was Kirkesh Onaki Ancient. That one for my Golos deck. That was one that actually, I believe at the time that I built the Golos deck, there were 0% in pretty much 0 decks on EDHREC within Golos. I'm saying this wrong. 0% of Golos decks at the time had Kirkesh at all in the deck. And when I found that one, I was just like, this is the perfect card for this deck. I love this thing. I mean, because basically, Kirkesh, I should probably read the card really quick. It's probably on the screen already, but Kirkesh is a 4/3 Ogre Spirit, but that doesn't really matter. Whenever you activate an ability of an artifact, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay red. If you do copy that ability, you may choose new targets for the copy. So basically, this is just in a Golos deck. Hey, do you want to pay 1 extra mana and get an extra free activation of Golos? Yes, I would like that very much. So
yeah, absolutely. And this is a card that maybe isn't in a lot of Golos decks because it is kind of worded weirdly, right? Because it says if you activate an ability of an artifact. So the trick there is Golos is an artifact in addition to a creature. So a lot of people might have overlooked him for that reason.
Absolutely. And again, this kind of goes into, there are a million ways you can search on Scryfall, but like you need to be kind of specific, but also kind of know what that specificity brings with it too. When I was searching for, basically cards that doubled up Golos's trigger, I believe what I typed in was, and I'm sorry, I can't go back 10 months or whatever it was to actually see it, but I believe I typed in basically like activate ability copy. And then I also, Eddie's going to lambast me for this as well, but then I put in instant sorcery, no, basically. Because I didn't want instant sorceries. I wanted a permanent that could help double it up.
Yeah, and I mean, Scryfall is very flexible. So, I mean, whether you know exactly how to enter it in or whether you kind of
whether
shoehorn
you're
your
a
way
dumb like me.
And there's like a lot of the advanced search feature kind of does it all for you. So that's definitely something to leverage. One card that I'll bring up for my decks, I mentioned it on the deck tech after the close quarters, is Scar Goliath. It's a card that I have in my Smithies deck. It is 6 and 2 green for a 9/9 beast that has trample, but none of that matters. The important part is it has an effect called Blood Rush. For 5 and 2 green, you can discard Scar Goliath, and target attacking creature gets +9/+9 and trample until the end of the turn.
And why is that relevant?
That's relevant because Smithies happens to be a 12/12, and 12 plus 9 is 21.
Okay. Yeah. So that'd be commander damage death.
Yeah, a lot of people see like, oh, I can take 12. I don't love it, but I can do that. And then all of a sudden, a Blood Rush Scar Goliath comes into play, and it's an activated ability, not even casting a spell, so it can't be countered in most cases.
Oh, yeah, I even forgot about that. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's just deadly.
It is. It's pretty nice. So there's plenty of other hidden gems that you'll be able to find out there. So I think at this point we can transition and just get into the meat and potatoes of what's useful to do on Scryfall that you might not already be doing.
Well, here's what you want to do. You want to click that random card button and then use that card.
Sure. Actually, that would be an awesome deck. Just 100 Golos, 100 random cards.
Oh, that would be pretty funny. Hopefully you don't hit too many lands.
Yeah.
Unless they're all guild gates, and then you have Maze's End as well.
Yeah.
Which the percentage chance that
the
happens
odds of
is
that
probably pretty low.
So the first one that I'm going to recommend if Scryfall is maybe new to you is to utilize their advanced search feature. It's right at the top of the page, and basically it'll list 30 different criteria that you can use to narrow down your searches, such as color identity, which works as both like the actual color of the card, or you can just enter in your commander's colors and it'll include any permutations of an effect that you're looking for. So advanced search would be where I would start just to kind of see what Scryfall can do for you. And I think you'll already be pretty well rewarded just by using that compared to stuff like the Gatherer website is the Wizards comparison to that, and it lacks a lot of the like robustness that
and
Scryfall
that
has.
was kind of like the original Scryfall, I guess, basically, and that was what I was using for years and years and years to find things. And then the second that Scryfall popped up, I was like, well, thank you for your time, Gatherer. It's been nice.
It's been nice.
But bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Never looking back. So in the advanced search, another thing that I think is especially useful to commander players is once you get your results of whatever you're looking for, you can sort, and one at the way bottom is sorting by EDHREC rank. So it'll actually pull the popularity of the cards in your results and basically say, these tend to be included in a lot of commander decks.
Yeah.
So since Scryfall can be useful for like modern, standard, any of those other formats, using that sort feature can be helpful to make it a little bit more relevant to commander. Couple caveats to that. Number one, EDHREC popularity isn't everything. Sometimes there's really, really new cards or really, really old cards, cards that just for whatever reason have been glossed over. So it's sometimes still useful to look through the whole list. And sometimes you just want to be a hipster. So like choosing the most popular thing isn't always what you want to do anyway.
That's true too. Yeah, I mean, and also, for certain commanders, more popular cards might work, but for other commanders, kind of the more niche cards are going to work better too. So it just depends on what you're really looking for and what kind of deck you're trying to brew.
Yep. And once you get those results, like Mitch said, they actually do have a deck building tool these days. You might have to set up an account with them, but once you do, once you find the card in your results, you can literally just have a list and click add to deck and move on to your next search. And it's really efficient to be able to build a huge list that is going to be super relevant to your deck.
Yep, and you can switch between decks as well, too. So if you're working on multiple decks at the same time and you see a card that could work for both, you can just click on, one or the other and then click add to deck, and then click on the other one, and then click add to deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to get a little bit more in-depth here. This is the type of stuff that I find the most useful myself, things that it might be a little bit quicker than using the advanced search, not so many clicks, and once you get the hang of it, is very effective.
This is the kind of stuff, again, advanced search was what I was using as, I would say, the beginner Scryfall stuff more so, and then Eddie was like, what are you doing? This is how you really use this tool.
This is your job, Mitch.
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing? You do this full time.
No, advanced search really does work for 90% of the stuff, so this is just like, this is the stuff that might set you apart a little bit, give you a little bit of an advantage. Maybe you'll find one or two cards that wouldn't show up otherwise.
Yep.
So basically, this is going to be some of the stuff that I use most often. The first one that I'm going to evangelize till the day I die is when you're in the search field, you can enter the letters FO:, and that's the most important search term that I've found. What that means is full oracle text. So what that, and this sounds complicated, but basically, rather than just searching the text that's on the card, it will search not only that, but also any keyword or reminder text abilities. This can be super important. Like, let's say you're building a graveyard deck and you have Blood Artist. So you want a deck chock full of death triggers and your commanders or creatures to be sacrificed and ways to profit off of that. So let's say you want cards that include the text, when something dies. You can just search in the advanced search when dies, and you'll find a lot of results. But you're going to be missing an awful lot because Wizards of the Coast loves to bury important text in reminder text. For example, Undying says, when this creature dies, return to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter if it didn't have one. So any creatures that have Undying won't necessarily show up unless you type in FO:, and then do your search. So I would say that has included the most results. You can see, like, when you do a search, it'll just add 20% more results, at least, of cards that you might have missed if you just used the standard tool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kind of same thing with, what's that one where, it dies and creates a spirit? That's also another one where you'd miss kind of as well if you're just typing in when dies.
Yeah, persist. There's new stuff every set, and it's really tough to remember to search for every keyword that Wizards has ever created. So using this feature will basically, you don't have to do that anymore.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And so another example is Wizards has, to the delight of a lot of people, finally keyworded the word mill. It's been something that Commander players and Magic players as a whole have used as a slang term forever, but now it's actually on cards, which is a great thing. But now going forward, it'll only be in reminder text where it says, put cards into the graveyard. Like, it'll say, like, target player mills 3 cards, as an example. If you just search for cards that put stuff into the graveyard, cards that just say mill won't show up unless you're using the full Oracle search.
Yep. Yeah. So it's kind of going to the more kind of simple version of the card might be easier to read on the card, but when you're trying to use this powerful search engine, if you're not adding that in, you might be missing those cards then.
Yeah. So that's going to be, if you take away nothing else from this episode, just try using it. It's great. You'll find a lot of results that you might have missed otherwise.
So as Eddie said, turn this episode off now. You've got what you need to know.
Yep, but if you're sticking around anyway, we got some bonus for you.
Yeah, we do.
So other things that might be worthwhile more incidentally are other things that you can enter in the search bar, and some of these are duplicated in the advanced search tab as well, but they're just stuff that we find ourselves using all the time. One of those, especially if you're building a deck on the budget, is the currency selector. So for us in Minnesota, you can just enter USD and then like less than or greater than, and it'll filter cards above or below a certain dollar value. So if you're trying to build on a budget, you can say like USD less than $5 or something like that. That way you're not having to sort through all the mana crypts and things like that of the world.
Absolutely. Or Bobble. I think Bobble's up there nowadays.
Yeah, it's probably $20 by now. Yeah. Another one is there's a number of them. Let's just list a few out and we'll kind of go over them quickly what they do. So there's USD that we discussed. There's ID, and then you can use a colon, and that's where you enter your commander's color identity. So if you're in Naya, if you're in green, red, white, if you enter ID green, red, white, it'll include any search results that are red, white, green, white, like anything that would be in your color identity, and exclude anything that isn't. So that ID is a little bit more helpful in my experience than if you're just saying the card is Naya or like something like that. So it's more all-inclusive. Another one is T or type. So if you're looking specifically for sorceries, creatures, lands, then you can add multiples as well. Or you can put the negative in front of any of these things and it won't include those.
That's one of the biggest things I learned with it. Once I found out the negative, I'm like, wait, you can tell me now that I can get rid of certain things?
Yeah.
And so that really helps narrow your search result even further. So, you can widen it with things like, the FO and whatnot, but then you can also narrow it by saying, okay, I know what things within that search that I don't want.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, as fun as building decks is, sorting through 1,000 results is just mind-numbing. So you can use the negative symbol in front of pretty much anything, which is super helpful. So you can exclude enchantments or exclude like if you're purposefully not looking for cards that say Cascade or something, you can do negative FO Cascade.
Yep.
And that'll remove anything that includes that text, which is super helpful.
Yep, absolutely.
Another one is just CMC, which stands for converted mana cost. So if you're looking for spells below, equal to, above a certain mana cost, you just CMC your symbol and then a number. So
for my Joyer deck, I was looking for any artifact that costs 2, and that when it comes into play, draws you a card. So just like 2 is kind of the exact number that I want. I know, unfortunately, 1 mana artifacts don't really do that, except for that one snow one or whatnot. But
Astrolabe.
Yeah, the Astrolabe.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, when you're on a budget, you can't really afford all those snowlands. But anyway, so you got to go with the 2. But 2 is a good CMC. So that can really help with very specific things for certain decks, but also can just help again, like. I'm looking for a big creature, that is, costs 5 or more. I need like a big haymaker,
Yeah, I mean, there's that new Simic commander in Commander Legends that says if you cast a spell that's 6 CMC or greater, Cascade. So that might be important too.
Perfect search tool for that.
Yeah, we can see your eyes glazing over. So there's only 2 more search features that I'm gonna bring up here.
Blame Eddie. He wrote this episode.
I did. For all the other diehard nerds out there. The other one that I use all the time is the year function. So you can do YEAR equal to, less than, greater than, all those same things. And I use this when I am basically looking for cards. Let's say I have an old deck. I have a Carador deck that I've had together for a decade, but I want to update it with only cards that, would fit in the deck that are pretty new this year. So I'll type in year equals 2020. You can exclude reprints because I would have already seen those. And that way I only have to look through, a few results to see, what has Carador missed out on this year and make my updates accordingly.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah, and that way you can also, like I said, if you sort by EDHREC rank, you're going to be seeing all the results that have been added to a bazillion decks. A lot of times that is to the detriment of new cards. So if you did your search and you're like, I feel like I'm still missing some of the newer stuff, you can just do the same search, but add in year equals whatever the current year is. And then it'll filter out all of the old cards that everybody's already found that work well.
Absolutely. Or if you're making an episode like on, best new commanders this year, if you happen to also have a YouTube channel, then you can just, say,
exactly
this year, not reprint.
Great for those
it's very applicable for everyone.
Yeah. And the very last one, similar to that, is the reprint function. So you can literally just say not : reprint. So that way, if you're looking for cards from 2020 that aren't reprints, or if you're looking at a new set and you only want to see the new cards, Commander Legends is great for this. You can just say, from Commander Legends, set equals CMR or whatever this set name is, and then not reprint, and then you don't have to scroll through an extra 300 results just to see the new cards from the set.
And conversely, if you're looking to see, what the most valuable reprints from a set might be, you're going to say is reprint.
Again, for those aspiring YouTubers.
Very specific.
So as you can see, there's a ton of stuff, and this is only scratching the surface, but these are the ones that I think you'll find yourself using most often and then have the best results with.
Yep.
If you want to look deeper into it, there's resources right on Scryfall. The syntax guide, there's a link on every page at the top or the bottom that'll link you to the syntax guide that'll show you exactly the stuff that we just spoke about, and some other examples as well, and other features that we just don't have time to get into on a podcast like this.
Yep. One that I do want to bring up though is the narrowing down to certain colors. I think, I don't know if we mentioned, we might not have, but you can also do like, this, but not that. So
sure.
Like contains these colors, because I know I want to include these colors, but not that color. And that's just one that I've seen myself kind of, that's another one of those where you're like, okay, I've got all these results. And then you're like, oh, wait, I don't want that color though. How do I go through that again? I always look up the syntax guide, but it's pretty simple once you kind of start learning.
Again, this just comes with practice. Try one out for a day when you do a search, and then add another one on. It's just like learning anything else. Don't overwhelm yourself.
You can actually get you can get certified in Scryfall as well. They're doing classes online these days.
They are, it's a good career.
Yeah, put that on your resume. that was a joke.
Yeah, probably not. The very last thing is for the most diehard of diehard nerds out there. This is something that I'm just starting to delve into myself. And that's regular expressions. If that doesn't mean anything to you, just don't worry about it.
I'm going to leave right here. I'll let Eddie talk for the next however many minutes.
This is going to be 10 seconds. We're not going to go into regular expressions at all, but they are useful. It's a little bit like coding. So if you want some even more nuanced searches, just Google it, to be honest. There's plenty of resources out there, and Scryfall supports it. So it can do some stuff even the regular advanced search and the stuff that we already talked about can't do. And it's awesome that Scryfall supports it, but it's a little outside the scope of this particular episode.
If you really want to, blow your magic Discord away, learn it, do it, and then just send it to them and be like, yeah, I just did the search, no big deal at all.
Yeah. And all of this is super useful, especially for situations like, let's say brand new commander spoiled and it really gets you excited. But there's not even an EDHREC page for this. No videos have been made on this commander. Like, it's just a few conversations online and that's it. Like, that's the perfect time to use these, do your searches, build a deck list that no one else has seen before, really make it your own. So I think as a deck builder, as a commander player, this is the type of stuff that makes you proud to be able to say I built this. I found this awesome card that I wouldn't have been able to find otherwise. So that's pretty much what we have for Scryfall.
Yeah.
However, that's not the only way that you can find cards for your deck. So there's plenty of others that exist out in the world. So we're going to touch on just a few of those. You want to take the first one, Mitch?
Sure. The first one, and we mentioned this before, is EDHREC, which is a fantastic resource. Again, you type your commander in, as long as it's not a brand new commander, there's bound to be deck lists out there for that commander. And then they aggregate all those, all the data from those. And they basically say, hey, this card shows up in X% of this deck for this commander. You can even, with certain commanders, they're going to have different kind of archetypes. Golos is going to have big spells. It'll have Maze's End, et cetera, et cetera. And so you can kind of click into that archetype and see, all right, so for this kind of a deck, what spells are usually seeing within that commander's deck?
Yep, exactly. So EDHREC is wonderful for that reason. There's a couple features that I wanted to bring up here. That maybe you don't use, but I found to be exceptionally helpful. The first is once you've navigated to your commander's page, like Mitch said, you can go to a particular theme or a certain budget. They cover low budget or high budget or just all the decks. But one that sometimes people just scroll right on by that is exceptionally useful is the advanced filters section. Basically, it's just a couple rows, and you can say, I only want to see decks from this commander that include such and such, or I only want to see decks from this commander that don't include this card. Let's say you're purposefully building a deck that's traditionally known to have an infinite combo, and that's just not your jam. You can say, I don't want this, Isochron Scepter. So, any decks that include Isochron Scepter, don't factor those into my results.
I know some players do that kind of with maybe a commander that's built around a CDH, kind of play style most of the time. If you're going to filter out, Demonic Consultation or Thassa's Oracle or whatnot, you can usually kind of filter out kind of what those high tier decks are. And obviously the exact opposite can be said too. If you're trying to build a competitive deck, you're going to filter just for decks that include that. So
yeah, I find myself doing stuff that's kind of no-brainer stuff. So I'll include searches that say don't factor in decks that don't have Command Tower or don't have...
Hey, budget decks might not... Actually, it's 40 cents now, so most people do.
There's almost no reason.
It used to be $2.
That's true.
Don't use any deck that doesn't have Wayfarer's Bauble.
There you go.
Except for the ones going on from now because they're too expensive now.
Rest in peace, Bauble.
I know.
We love you. All right, so that's pretty much it for EDHREC. The other thing that's kind of a neat feedback loop between all these is once you scroll EDHREC, you might be like, ooh, that card is awesome. And then you can kind of see okay, what makes that card awesome? It's because it does this effect. And then you can go back to Scryfall and say I want to find cards with this effect, and then just keep adding them to the list until you have a bazillion cards.
Absolutely.
first world problems.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cutting down your deck from 150 down to 100 is quite tough.
It's a little bit painful. The other one is right where you're at right here on YouTube. So the other place that a lot of people get inspiration is from deck techs that you'll find right here on this channel. There's plenty of other wonderful channels out there.
Yeah.
And not only just deck building, but also gameplay. You can kind of kick the tires, as it were, and see if a commander's really up your alley, if they have any cool includes that you want to be sure to pick up as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's plenty of YouTube channels out there that even ones that kind of just like talk about niche cards too, not even just a deck tech in general, but some might talk about, the most exciting cards from a set or whatnot. And then you can kind of see, oh, this brand new card does this. Are there any other old cards that do that, similar thing? So again, use all of Eddie's, fancy schmancy, FO expressions or whatever to find that kind of stuff.
Yep. I'll be down in the comments. So.
Look for the pig with E.
Exactly. And then the last one is just the community. So obviously COVID right now is a thing, so you're not meeting in person as much, but whether it's on Facebook or YouTube, Discord, Twitter, there's all sorts of resources out there to connect you to people in the hobby, people in your area. And if they're anything like us, we're more than happy to give our recommendation, and it's a kind of fun thing to help each other out and find unique cards for someone else's deck. So lean on each other a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, either, the Discord group or whatnot, if I'm just like, oh, I'm building this commander, what do you think about this list? What cards am I missing in it? And then someone mentions something like, you gotta be kidding me. How did I forget that one? And then that gets me down another rabbit hole. I'm looking at 10 more cards that do similar things. And then I end up with 200 cards in the deck, and then it takes me even longer to cut. So thank you all.
You just build 2 decks.
Just build 2 decks. That's what you do. You split it down the middle.
Yeah.
You say, this is 2 decks now.
Yeah. Problem solved.
Each deck only has 18 lands.
Whoops. All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Hopefully some of this will be helpful in your future deck building endeavors.
Yeah.
So I think now is where I am going to check down in the comments and try to reply as best I can. We'll see if I'm up to the task.
Eddie will be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the next 5 weeks.
Yes, exactly.
If he doesn't respond within 5 minutes, let me know.
Yep, and then Mitch has to take over.
That all was a joke? Just kidding? No, do not do that. But yes. No, I appreciate you having you on today, Eddie. Again, you are the Scryfall expert resource, and I could not have done this episode without you, obviously, because, you taught me how to use Scryfall properly. So
yeah, well, hopefully everyone else has taken a thing or two away from it, and we'd love to hear what you find with these new tools.
Absolutely. So let us know in the comments below. Actually, let us know in the comments below if we missed anything talking about Scryfall. Maybe there's some kind of trick that that we haven't brought up that we should have, and maybe, you can help other people by other people seeing your comment on that. So, and then Eddie can obviously comment on that and say, well, why didn't I should have brought that up. You're right. You're so right.
I'm sure I'll be saying that a lot.
Yeah, let us know in the comments below. And yeah, as always, thanks again and have a good one.